Forklift.
You should do that.
I'll go away.
Thanks. So I guess this story needs a story, like most good stories do. I was a little over a month ago, and I was having a rough day. I mean, my brain was overloaded, I'm feeling a little depressed and down, and for whatever reason, when that happens, I tend to just doom scroll Marketplace and look at giant houses that I can't afford on huge plots of land. I know, it's only more depressing to do that, but for some reason, I just can't stop. Now, one thing sellers and realtors tend to do is stage the house with furniture and decor to make it look good for a potential buyer. And it always triggers me that every single time I look at one of these things, I always find the Karen kitchen. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Those chuggy wall art pieces like live, laugh, love, oh, bless this house. Look, wine, wine, more wine. Here's a cute little sign about wine. Oh, and of course, who could forget the big giant bowl of fruit sitting on the counter that nobody is going to eat. I see this stuff and it just makes me want to puke. So in that current state of emotion with undertones of passive-aggressive feelings, I decided to skip the work that needed to be done on my own pathetic house that sits 8 feet away from neighbors that I've never met, and I set out to design my own brand of kitchen decor with a saying more fitting of my mood. And wouldn't you know it, my emotional support friend agreed that's a great idea. So I started my fork design in Onshape. And by designing, I mean I stole a picture from Google, slapped it onto my Onshape drawing, traced half of it with the spline tool, then mirrored it so I don't have to draw the same thing twice, and then I scaled it to the size that I wanted. All of this happened in about 2 minutes, which makes my laziness very, very satisfied. Now, speaking of laziness, my initial plan was just to, upload this to like Xometry or SendCutSend or any one of those online services that would make the thing for me, but I realized it was going to take a little while and I didn't want to wait for it. I wanted it now. So I headed to the shop, had the guys cut me off a slice, and I guess I'll just have to use my plasma table. Now, while the plasma table does its forking job, I should probably tell you about why I switched to Onshape, the sponsor of today's video. Onshape is an extremely powerful web-based CAD software that works on every single device that I own with only one license. That means if I want to design at my desk, I don't have to save the file to like a flash drive just to take it out to the plasma table or something like that for programming. I simply log in and download it from there. Watch how fast this works across every single device. We've got a MacBook, a PC, another PC, laptop. We've got an iPhone, an iPad, and an Android. We're going to put a hole in this fork down here. Click this, click that, go for it. Bing! Every single one of them updated just like that. But my favorite part above all is the augmented reality view. If I design the part and want to see what it looks like right in front of me, I can do it. Oh yeah. And if that's not enough for you, there is also a free plan, which means you can send Fusion to the trash where it belongs, and if you want to pay for a professional suite, it's way cheaper than SolidWorks and so much more powerful. Check down in the description below for the link of the fork that I designed for this episode, and tell them that TFS sent you when you register for your free account. I'd really like to thank Onshape for sponsoring this episode. If you've been watching a while, you know I've been wanting to work with them for quite some time because this software is absolutely phenomenal. And now back to this forking episode. I don't want to clean that up. I could, but I don't want to. But I bet my neighbor does. Looking back on all this footage once Adam showed up to help record this, even if I didn't sell $7,000 worth of giant novelty forks, just the fun of joking around was completely worth building it.
Get the fork over here.
Is that real or is this forced perspective?
It's real.
Can you imagine that this is your first time in Vegas, right? And they give you a room that's facing west, and you look out there, it's like, oh, honey, what's outside? You're like, oh, yeah, a man just walking around with a fork. That's forking Vegas right there. This is the machine we're going to use, the Lismac SBML1500. Don't know what all that means, but it's a forking really cool machine. Okay, first we got to do one of those things. And then we got to do one of those things, which I'm not going to use the fork on because that would fork it up. As soon as it winds up and does its thing, Hurry the fork up. Ah, there we go.
Now, just in case you want to know what this machine is doing, here's a quick explanation from a guy who's not a salesman. Basically, this conveyor belt is feeding the part into a set of rollers that hold the part into place as it goes through a pair of sanding belts. There's one belt on the top and one belt on the bottom. Then it goes through a second stage where a pair of sanding blocks will deburr the edges of the part and put the finish onto it. When it comes out the other side, it'll be nice and smooth and edge-free and good finish on it. And in other words, I can't do this by hand unless I spent like an hour on it making it look this good. So, yeah. It's awesome to have some really cool shop neighbors that let me use their tools.
Forking finally.
You know what? This is really forking nice, all right? That was worth the wait. I don't care. And if I did it by myself, I'd still be forking sanding it. Let's go.
Now it's time for the icing on the cake with the old box and pan break, because a wise philosopher once said, a fork with no bends in it is used for dessert, and a donut with no hole is a Danish. Now, you might have noticed earlier that when I did the speed drawing of this fork, I didn't really add any measurements or anything to it.
What the fork are you doing?
Getting some forking measurements.
So when it came to the bend points and angles, I pulled a cheater trick out of my pocket by pulling up the drawing on my phone, selected 2 points, and hit the measure button. This also satisfies my laziness. But my laziness can only last so long, as I added some paper towels, which would have helped out more if I would have set the clamping pressure of the brake properly instead of being lazy and ignoring it, which caused the brake to cut through the paper towels and scratch the part. But oh well, maybe next time.
Yeah. Looks like it tore through the paper towel, but that's okay. We have the magic eraser. And there we go.
It's like, how many times can you say fork in one video?
Comment down below.
Exactly. Count them.
I'm not even sure how many are making to the edit of this video. It's been nonstop.
I don't fork enough. Still need to try it on the forklift.
I can make a forklift. Yo, dog, we heard you like forks, so we put 40-inch forks on your forklift so you can lift your freaking fork. It's a forklift. I'll go away.
Now, if all of this fun time is all that happened on this particular day, I would have said it was a great day. I built something cool that made me smile, and I had a blast just hanging out and joking around with some friends. But something else happened that day. Another neighbor saw us messing around and offered me $200 for my giant fork, so I sold it. And then someone else wanted one, so I sold another one. And then Adam bought one because he had a funny idea, which I'm sure he'll make a video about on his channel. Even Aaron showed up and said, take my money.
Take my money.
And you might think it's an awful thing, me charging my friends for giant novelty items that I built, but I'm a businessman. I dry my tears of guilt with cash. And everyone else I sold a fork to said that it just made them smile and they couldn't wait to make a conversation out of it. So I'll willingly admit that some of this footage is reenacted, okay, from this video. The reason why is when I started this episode, I was just in a bad mood and I was kind of goofing and whatnot, and this all did cheer me up. But then once everything started selling, I'm like, whoop, we're cutting that one. I'm not going to post this video right now. I'm making money, right? So once, there's some footage that, I either didn't have at all, and there's some of it that I just had to kind of piece together from that day as everything went on and on and on. But, this is one of those stories that after 37 of those forks sold, and everything started to die down a little bit, I was like, this was a really cool experience and a great friggin' story to share with people that I hope will kind of inspire you and help you out through your journey. Like, even if you're having a bad day like I was, you can turn that into something great just the same. And I realized that moment in time, so many people, it brought them up. Just having a giant fork, it did the same thing for me. It was just like, I'm here, and then all of a sudden, there we go. We're going up. So again, I hope all of this inspires you, and I hope that it helps you in your journey. If you're having a down day or something bad, or you just got a great idea or a crazy idea, do it. You never know where it's going to go. But if your crazy idea is to rip my design and put it on your Etsy account, just remember that there's another viewer that is already watching this that has it listed on their Etsy account for $10 less. So good luck.